Om Mahyanati Mandasya Snam Snam Smakam Section Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Govena Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Statam Yena Vitam Skamaramayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandiyam Shiu Shiu Da Padkamam Shivam Vanshavam Sam Shiyopam Jagasatam Sakanagam Kagnatam Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savitam Paitana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakalita Shri Shakam Vitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Tyatpate Ko Pesha Kopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaura Hira Devindavanasri Vishabhana Sutta Devi Pranamam Haripriya Vaka Kalpa Vishra Kripa Sindhu Visha Patnam Pavanavyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Sati Gaura Bhaktava Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So this morning we will be reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Divinity and Divine Service, text 14. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jyamudiyayat Nastpriya Savatvasu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Uttamasake Bhakti Bhagavati Naistake. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, we offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan and Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the gods of learning, and to the elder Srila Vyasadeva. A regular attendance of the class of the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, always troublesome to the heart, is nearly completely destroyed, and loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is praised with tones and the songs, is established within the heart as an irrevocable fact. So, text 14. Tasmatikena manasa Bhagavan Sattvatam Pati Shottavya Kirtitavya Jaya Pucha Sanityada Tasmat Ekena Manasa Bhagavan Sattvatam Pati Shottavya Kirtitavya Jaya Pucha Sanityada Tasmatikena Manasa Bhagavan Sattvatam Pati Shottavya Kirtitavya Deya Pucha Sanityada. Word for word translation. Tasmat, therefore, Ikena, by one, Manasa, attention of the mind, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Sattvatam, of the devotees, Patihi, protector, Shottavya, is to be heard, Kirtitavya, to be glorified, Cha, and Deya, to be remembered, Puja, to be worshipped, Cha, and Nityada, constantly. So, translation and commentary by Abhay Chanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. So I repeat the translation again. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. If realization of the absolute truth is the ultimate aim of life, it must be carried out by all means. In any of the above-mentioned castes and orders of life, the four processes, namely glorifying, hearing, remembering, and worshipping, are all general occupations. Without these principles of life, no one can exist. Activities of the living being involve engagement in these four different principles of life, especially in modern society. All activities are more or less dependent on hearing and glorifying. Any man from any social status becomes a well-known man in human society within a very short time. If he is simply glorified truly or falsely in the daily newspapers, sometimes political leaders of a particular party are also advertised by newspapers propaganda, and by such a method of glorification, insignificant man becomes an important man within no time. But such propaganda by false glorification of an unqualified person cannot bring about any good either for the particular man or for the society. There may be some temporary reactions to such propaganda, but there are no permanent effects. Therefore, such activities are a waste of time. The actual object of glorification is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has created everything manifested before us. We have broadly discussed this fact from the beginning of the Janmadhyasya sloka of this Bhagavatam. The tendency to glorify others or hear others must be turned to the real object of glorification, to the Supreme Being, and that will bring happiness. Tasmatekena manasa bhagavansat fatam pati shotafya kirtitafya sadhyaputsa sanityada. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. So, this verse gives us a summary of the whole Bhagavatam. That is what the Bhagavatam is about. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. This is Bhagavad Gita. Because the Bhagavatam starts factually at the beginning of the second canto. At the beginning of the second canto, there Maharaj Parikshit, better at the end of the first canto, Maharaj Parikshit is asking this question to Sukadev Goswami: what's the duty of a man about to die? And Sukadev Goswami replied, first he says, yes, that one should not live a life of sense gratification. And then after that he answers this question. Tasma bharata sarvatma bharvanishvarohari shotafyakartatafyasya smartafyasya. If you want to meet your death in 7 days from now, then you should hear, remember, and glorify Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if you want to meet your death in a fearless state, it says, in that Abhay, then you should hear, remember, and glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here the verse says the same thing. Remember, glorify, speaking about that, hear, glorify, remember. So this is the principle, is the method to make spiritual advancement. But Srila Prabhupada says, yet with one pointed attention, that, and that's important. In the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, there Arjuna said to Krishna, controlling this mind impossible. It's like the wind. The wind. Who can control the wind? That it's very difficult to control the wind. It's impossible. So that's our mind. Our mind wants to do so many things, and we have to bring it to one-pointed attention, and that's a whole challenge. That ability to give one-pointed attention, that we have to develop. And the first thing to do is explained by Srila Prabhupada at the end of the 3rd chapter, in the last verse, that there Srila Prabhupada speaks about how to concentrate the mind. In that purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, yes, because to give rapt attention, it's not possible for one who is not pure in mind. No one can be pure in mind when he's not pure in his actions. So that means one has to follow the 4 regulative principles. Otherwise, one's mind is filled with lust, and the mind will follow the lusty desires. And you will not be able to control it. So no one can be pure in action who is not pure in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. 4 regulative principles. But somehow or other, if someone hears with rapt attention from the right person at the very beginning, one assuredly see Lord Krishna in person in the pages of the Bhagavatam, just by giving one-pointed attention. One-pointed attention means being in the present. That's the beginning of the spiritual platform. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatmana Sustina Kankshati. One should be in the present, not let one's mind go in the future. That we have so many plans and so many things to do, but you have to put that aside when you chant Hare Krishna. And not lament, so many things went wrong. Finally, everything will go wrong in this world. So that's, we die at the end. So there's no reason to lament. We know already what's this world. Let this lamentation go. And then you can be in the present and give attention. You have to be in the present to give attention. And that's the first, one of the important instructions that Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita 241. Vyav satmika buddhi ekana koronandana pausakanantasya buddhya vyavisainam. Krishna says one should give one-pointed attention, like mentioned in this verse. 1 point. 1 point means, in Srila Prabhupada writes in a purport, materialistic people have so many desires to fulfill, and their mind is many branches, is going to all these desires. But the devotee has only 1 point. I follow the instructions of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita as explained by my spiritual master, and that's it. So that's one-pointed attention. And only then the chanting will have effect. Because otherwise you chant, but there's always a wall between you, because your mind cannot absorb deep in it. It's partially absorbed in things in this world, and the effect is not much. Then you can't go internal, because the mind is too much focused external. That this one-pointed attention, learning that is our pratyahara, going away from the external sense objects and go inside. and that is done by giving this one-pointed attention. If one does not come to that point, then it's difficult to put love in your chanting, because the mind is busy with things in this world and lusty desires. It's not possible. So that's the first instruction, and it's a very important instruction, this one-pointed attention. That means, how do we come to that one-pointed attention? First, you have to be clean in your life. If you are not externally clean, then internally you will not be clean. That Srila Prabhupada said, you are cooking, and while you are cooking, you are cleaning. So by the end of the cooking, everything is clean. Not that afterwards you have to clean pots or something. No, you do that while you do puja, and and immediately after the puja, wash your plate. And it's done. And then that will help one, this mode of goodness, to cultivate that one-pointed attention. If one neglects Srila Prabhupada's instruction and thinks that's not important, let everything be dirty, I will do it later, and that's the mode of ignorance, then the one-pointed attention will not take place. It's going together with your external behavior. You can see at the person by the cleanliness in his room, is everything in order. You can see the cleanliness of his mind. How is inside? You can see that. So this one-pointed attention is very important, and that should be directed to glorifying, remembering, and worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like these children, if they have, you can easily get their attention and then, or divert their attention with something. It's easy to do with a child. A child naturally becomes attracted to the object of the senses very easily, but a child can also be very easily attracted to the chanting. If it likes, like we see Prahlad here, all these children, they are joyfully chanting that, and it's done joyfully, this glorifying, remember, and worship of the Supreme Lord. I remember Pragosh Prabhu, he was in Mayapur, and there was a bus of school boys who came from Calcutta, and they were all Irish, and he is also Irish. And they came for the first time to Mayapur, and they came in the middle of the elephant procession of Saturday. And their comment was, I never thought that religion could be such fun. So they are not really attracted, although it's not their culture. They become attracted. It's all clean. It's beautiful. But that's our duty. If we glorify and remember and worship the Supreme Lord, then naturally we will get to know Krishna and know ourselves and cultivate that connection. Cultivate the connection is done by glorifying, remembering, and worship. By the chanting and by the hearing about Krishna, the Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada said, yes, Krishna is in the pages of the Bhagavatam. You just must know how to extract Krishna. And that's done by the one-pointed attention and give that to glorifying, remembering, worship. You hear the Bhagavatam, forget everything else, absorbed in hearing the Bhagavatam. And be inquisitive. I want to go there to the spiritual world. What are they doing? And that is the duty of Parodharmo. That's the highest occupational duty for all orders of life. Krishna has before explained, yes, the 4 orders of life, that everyone must be engaged. Yeah, everyone is engaged according to one's psychophysical nature. That's good. But there is a higher duty, and this is this higher duty, which is for everyone, that glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This glorification Srila Prabhupada makes in the purport is done by everyone. And we see in this world, yeah, the whole publicity machine that can make an insignificant person a great person. Now you read the newspapers in Britain. Everything is about Boris Johnson, and before it was Theresa May, but you don't hear about her anymore. Also Cameron, rarely you hear that. But it's also all that machinery of the media, which makes suddenly a man very important. And then they become insignificant again. But that is not what, this is not what we experience in Krishna consciousness. We are glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the real object of glorification. He remains eternally the real object of glorification. All these insignificant men who so-called become important, that you have so many great names in history, and gradually these names will disappear. But only if you become a pure devotee, your fame and glory will not disappear. You see, we are still glorifying Prahlad Maharaj, that Dhruva Maharaj, all these great devotees. They have become eternally glorified. But if we come back to the essence of the Bhagavatam, what is the duty of a man about to die? The duty is following this process, glorifying, remembering, worshipping the Supreme Lord. Because that's the only way to get rid of our false ego. That to break down the walls of false ego, that these walls inside that we have built up, these false identities that prevent us to come in contact with Krishna. To make that contact, we have to go to this process of anartha-nivritti and get rid of all these contaminations. And then only we will get to these barriers of false ego and come to our real ego. And that is what gives us inner fulfillment, satisfaction. Nobody is satisfied in this world. They did in California a survey, and to take part of the survey, you needed to possess at least $1 million. And from the survey appears the results of the scientific research was that these rich men don't think that they are rich. They think that that's nothing what I have. What will I give to my children? An education of my child cost at least $300,000. So they think I've nothing. I need much more. So they are not satisfied. It will never satisfy us, this material world, because it's just temporary enjoyment for the body. But the process of Krishna consciousness means taking shelter of Krishna, accepting him as our protector. But Krishna gives us the protector by these instructions we are hearing today. If we follow these instructions, we are under Krishna's protection. That it's also in the Bhagavatam, a few chapters further, Lord Bhishmadev will instruct Yudhishthira Maharaj. And said this, because you are always follow the principles of religion, you will always be protected by these principles. So that's important. If we try our best to follow all these principles, then we will be protected. Therefore, the path of devotional service is taking to the path of bhakti and taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But that begins with this hearing, chanting, and glorification, because only then you can understand that Krishna is our only maintainer. He's our only protector. That is our only maintainer. We should not be in illusion that we are maintaining ourselves. Krishna makes all arrangements for us, even for the end. That it's not by our hard work that we are surviving or getting an income to live from. No, it's by the mercy of Krishna that we get what we need. But what we really need is the purification of our heart. That by taking shelter of Krishna, then we come to the point of surrender. Surrender means I'm going to follow these instructions. But whatever Krishna says is all good, and I want to love him. And that's and that is the path to bhakti. And if we follow this path, then we will develop all good qualities. And our relationship with other people will improve. Otherwise, what is that character of a pure devotee? In Nectar of Instruction, text 5 is mentioned that a pure devotee is one who has lost the propensity to criticize others. So that's a big tendency in this world. All people are busy with criticizing each other. That especially leaders in this country, they only criticize each other. These are bad examples. We should follow in the examples of pure devotees and not criticize others, but inspire them in devotional service. That a devotee understands, I'm conditioned in this world, and I'm like in a prison house. And the others are also prisoners. So I'm going to criticize the other prisoners, but will that help me to get out of the prison? No, they become more and more complicated in the meshes of Maya. But if we take shelter of Krishna, then we become factually free from the influence of the modes, free from identifying with this body, free from trying to strive for material gain. And gradually, we make spiritual advancement. But there is that one pointed aspect Put always the real object of glorification in the center of your life. Put Krishna in the center, and then your life will become sublime. If we don't put Krishna in the center, everything what we do is temporary, and at the end, a failure. And that is the message of the Bhagavatam. That this verse explains the process of devotional service and its essence, which is explained further in the Bhagavatam in detail, how to follow this process. And the Bhagavatam engages us in hearing and remembering the Supreme Lord. And that itself is a very sublime process to become pure here in heart, and become fully satisfied and happy in this life and in the next. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? If there are no more questions, then we will end here. This evening we have Nectar of Devotion class at 7. And on Monday we will continue with the Bhagavatam class and the next verse. Good.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Thank you, Maharaj.